Hi there. Welcome back to Discover Your Unique Self. My name is Sally G. Tadina, and we're doing the part two of Introduction to Human Design. It's just interesting to see that I'm wearing the same thing as last time, which makes sense because it's part two. Introduction to Human Design, we're going to go back to the basic foundation, which is really knowing your type. And I want to just let's let's talk about the each basic types. So we have the generator, and the generator is literally the source of power, if I can put it that way. So they without them, we wouldn't survive. That's how important they are. So now that we know they're important, it's really important that they are in alignment with themselves, that they truly know themselves. Because if they're not, then imagine the frustration that we have to all deal with. Because the rest of us will or can amplify the frustration that the not self generator um, will experience. So we all have to work together. We all have to connect and really live our type so that we can experience what we're here to experience. And every type has its own signature. So generators are here to really experience satisfaction. And you can only get that when you are honoring that sacral response, that sacral sound. The advice I can give to any generator would be to really allow themselves to make that sounds that that it naturally make. I know that some people don't like to hear when people eat food and they make a little sound, but that's why you need to be with the right people. Then anything you do will just be okay. Like there's nothing wrong with it. Everything just like flows naturally, that you can just be you and not have to feel like, is everyone comfortable with that? You can just be you and feel comfortable because we've been repressed. Like some generators may have their sacral response or their sacral sound repressed. And what that looks like is like having a Ferrari that's just collecting dust in the garage. Like imagine that. That's like what a waste. Like you need to write that. You need to be proud of that and just allow it to do its thing and let it drive. Because that's when you can see the beauty of you. That's when you become interesting. It's when you become different. So it's not about being better or worse or having a design that's like, oh, this one sucks. It's really accepting that. And when you accept that, you just come out like, wow, that's an interesting person. Now you cannot please everyone because not everybody is fractally connected to you. So knowing that, if you can borrow that belief that says, I know that there are people out there who are not going to resonate with me. But I also know there are people who are meant to hear my message. So then when you are being your type, then you attract your tribe, you attract your people. So that for me, as my belief, it really increases my confidence. Like I don't care anymore if like, I mean, not to say that. I don't like I care about how I look, I care about how I dress, I care about all that stuff. But if you're always like trying to please everyone or trying to make things perfect in order for you to be ready to show up, then you're gonna not be naturally you. So it's okay, like judging yourself based on what other everyone else thinks is not the right way to judge yourself. So that would be my advice is to allow yourself to just make the sound because you that's a motor that will continuously um, make sounds for you so that you know if what you're about to do is correct. You're designed to respond. So you have the ability to respond to anything around you. Now, assuming you're in the right environment, because when you're in your correct environment, that allows you to really see the right people to be able to release any toxic that you may have accumulated outside of that environment. It's where you're going to be healthy, it's where you're going to be successful. And it's not an automatic thing. You need to take care of yourself based on your type. And that way, your cognition is functioning correctly, your cycle will function correctly for you. And then you just watch your movie, you just watch your life unfold because you're really here to watch it. But if you're not correct in your process, then you're watching something that has gone off track. It's like when you have a destination, you're being rerouted. So we want to be able to come into an alignment so that we're flowing naturally to your unique direction, to your unique path. So let's just go back to generators. You're here to respond. So you wait to respond. It's not like you wait a long time. There's always something to respond to if you really pay attention. So the best way to really practice this is to pay attention to the sound that your body or that your cycle makes, and then pay attention to your body when you're being pulled into something. Because sometimes, maybe because you've been repressed, you may not make the sound, but then your body is pulling you into something. Like when you listen to music, you notice how you start to dance, or when somebody's talking about a certain topic, you're like you seem interested. So those are things to really notice. And if you have people around you that will naturally ask the right questions, you have then the opportunity to respond. It's not always going to come from questions, but it can also be like even other people talking about something, and then like you become interested in that, or could be something around you, could be, like I said, music, or something you saw, something you heard, something you felt, anything. Just notice the sound you make, or anything, whatever that is. Um, and then, of course, like I don't want to get sidetracked here. So we want to talk about the basic type. What are generators? They're the source of power. They are here to create not just life, but to create things, art, or anything that their cycle responding yes to, because you have the energy to really use to create. And everything that you've maybe have been trying to figure out yourself, like what work to do, because you're here to work. And if you're correct, then it's the right work that really helps you feel satisfied. And it's not work that makes you feel like a slave. It's the work that you really love. And again, you only know that when you are following and honoring your sacral sound. Now, depending on your authority, some of you may be emotional authorities. So that means that you wait for a confirmation of that sacral sound and wait until you've gone through the full cycle of your emotion, because our emotional wave goes up and down. So there's a pattern. And once you recognize that pattern, it also helps to write it down, to like journal every day and just notice if you're emotional. Notice how you feel every day. so that you can see your pattern, and then helps you understand if what you're making decision on, if that is something that is still a yes, or maybe it has changed. So wait for that as a confirmation. And so what else for generators? You eat correctly based on your diet regimen, on how, we've talked about this when we do a reading. I always really reinforce that eating correctly based on your unique digestive system. And how you are in your environment. So where your environment is, to pay attention if you are in your correct environment, and how you use your energy. So you're here to exhaust all of that energy before you go to bed. Now, going to bed doesn't mean you're going to sleep right away. Probably not, especially if you're a generator. You can wind down slowly. You could lie down and read something or anything as long as you're horizontal until you fall asleep. So it's important that you know the difference between tired and the good kind of exhaustion, and the tired where you're like, you're just tired of your job, or you're just tired of life in general. There's really recognize that, because a lot of people say, oh, I'm so tired. And it's because they're using their energy in the wrong things. So there's that good feeling of tiredness where you're doing the right things for your energy, and then by the time you go to bed, it's just like you feel so good. You had a good sleep, and you feel rejuvenated the next morning, the next day, where you're full again, and then you can exhaust all of your energy again. That's powerful. So you're here, you have that power to create. um so generators, um manifesting generator is also a generator. So they're here to be satisfied, they're here to create. The only difference is that they are able to initiate after from a response. And they can be really quick, and they can do many things, and they could have many hobbies. They could go from one thing to another. So they have the ability to really create and generate and manifest after our response. So they are extra powerful, fast, but sometimes too fast, that they feel like they've taken two steps forward, one step back. So be careful not to go overly fast. Um, Make sure you have a list, because that will really help you. And yeah, they're um, pretty much the same thing. And with the way that they function, the way that they use their energy, they have to honor their sacral unless they have an emotional, like I was talking earlier. Um, and and it's okay for you to go from one thing to another, or do as many things as you can, as long as you're not overly extending yourself. And again, that comes from knowing what is the right activity for you to work on, right? And speaking of activity, so depending on your environment, whether you're here to be observed or you're the observer, whether you're here to be busy or just be passive in your environment, that's something that you would have um, to discover in your of course, your session, your private session. Um, so we just want to cover the basic of each type here. And then we go to manifestors. Manifestors are here to initiate. So they wait for that internal alignment to feel when it's the right thing to do something. And once they know, then they have to let the people involved know, or even just to talk about it. And that way they reduce the resistance. Um, they're here to experience peace. They want peace. With manifesting generator, there's an aspect of that. So there's the peace and satisfaction. For manifestors, they don't really care about themselves as much as generators. That they're here to know themselves. For manifestors, they're here to know how they can impact the other. They're more interested in that. And because they don't have a consistent energy, they really need to rest as soon as they're tired. They go to bed as soon as they're tired. And yeah, so allow, like, the manifestor need to pay attention to their own, of course, their inner authority, whatever that may be, whether that's splenic. So if you're splenic manifestor, then you can't really know until it happens. So it's in the now, it's in the moment. So you listen and pay attention to that subtle, um, like it's that inner knowing, that, that intuition and instinct, to really honor that. And if you're emotional, again, you wait it out. Um, no, we have different kinds of authorities, but I'm not going to go into the details of that. I just want to just cover the basics of each type. We have now we have projectors, and projectors have different subtypes. I'm a mental projector. So for me, it's really have to be careful with how I use my energy because it's limited, but we are very strong mentally. So we are designed to think. We can notice things that most people can't. We're here for the other. We're here to know the other. And through knowing the other, that's how we know ourselves. And we're designed to master a system that allows us to know the other. So that can be anything, whether that's human design or astrology or numerology or anything that allows you to really understand the other, any system. And of course, you rest before you are even tired. You know how difficult that can be. How do you know, right? So yeah, so once you've accomplished something, you feel successful, and that's your signatures. You're here to really feel to achieve that success, and you achieve that by, by guiding others. You're here to guide others. You're here to be a guide. And through that, you will achieve success. So you may feel that even on a daily basis, even just a small win and a small feeling of success, and you're not even tired yet, but you're getting there, then you want to rest before that. You want to lie down, like read or whatever, because you're really interested in learning. And for any other types of projectors, the same thing. For some of you, they may have more energy than mental projectors, but especially if you're energy projectors, um, you're really here to work with mainly generators. We can amplify not only what they're feeling, but we can also amplify their ability to create. And when you own that, when you really become that projector that you are, you'll be here, you'll be recognized, you'll be invited. And for those informal invitations are meant for major things in life, like where to live, who you're going to be with, um, what career. And speaking of which, I was just invited, actually, I was recognized for my gift, and I was invited to be some sort of a counselor or consultant, which is really, besides what I do on my own, I do this now. Like I was just recently invited and everything seems to just flow naturally. It's easy. So that's how you know when it's for you. It's because there's no resistance. And and you feel recognized, you feel valued, and things just, there's synergy. It just flows. So we have reflectors, and they're here to let you know what's going on in the environment. They're really good at they're wise and they're good at telling if a person is correct or not, if they're not self or not, and can really assess the environment of wherever they're in. So they're perfect for like asking them, it's like, how is, how, like, for example, you have a team and you're working on something, and after it's done, you ask a reflector, so how's everything going? They'll be able to tell you if they're correct. And they're very much deeply influenced by the moon because they are lunar beings. I feel a little bit somewhat like a reflector because I have my personality as a reflector and my design as a reflector and combines a mental projector. But I also noticed that my chart has a lot of moon activations, like so many. Um, so I feel that, and no wonder I'm always like keeping track of how the moon influences me, not only on a daily basis, but like when there's full moon, new moon. Anyways, I think that's for it for now, and I hope I see you again next time. Bye for now.